We look like we got a full group here.
Go up there, check it out.
Let me turn my ringers off. Winfred, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, man.
Wide world, there'll be more than happy. Put me up for a spell. I can hang out.
All right, so that's the Houston Solution. That's his walk-up music today, guys. I call this meeting of the Creative Arts and Entertainment Committee. You have before you House Bill 1516. Representative Gaines, if you'll submit your bill, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you for that very kind introduction and the walk-up music. House Bill 1516 is a simple measure that currently, legally speaking, the Georgia Music Hall of Fame is sitting in Macon. However, it is not physically sitting there because that building was sold to Mercer, and all the materials from the Georgia Music Hall of Fame are actually sitting in Athens in the basement of the Special Collections Library at UGA. And so what this measure allows is for that material to be displayed in Athens. The Classic Center, where we had the biennial, is building an arena, and they want to use the atrium area to display the Georgia Music Hall of Fame material, and so that's simply what this bill allows.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Chairman Gaines? Number 22.
Representative Gaines, good to see you.
Good to see you.
Is this going to be a temporary exhibit or a more
No, the
permanent?
hope is that it would stay there, for the long haul.
Okay. I remember visiting the Hall of Fame, and when it was in Macon, that was a great facility. I think they just didn't have the traffic. But
That's right. And that's the good thing about this usage is the arena is going to be there. And so it would provide a building that's already going to be in existence and have traffic. And obviously Athens has a long history of music. And so I think it's a great use for that material to be displayed there. And so the hope is that it would stay.
I do too. Thank you.
Thank you.
Number 19.
Do you have a favorite establishment in Athens to enjoy such music that maybe potentially eventually put in the Hall of Fame?
Well, the Georgia Theater's would be my top recommendation. A lot of good musicians have come through there.
As a chairman, I'm more of a 40-watt kind of guy, but everybody has their own. Any more questions? Is there a will of the committee?
Second.
We have a first and a second. Any comments? All in favor? Opposed? All right, move the rules. Just
Thank you,
get the
Mr. Chairman.
form. We'll get you taken out.
Thanks so much.
Thank you. Sorry for the delay.
Thank you.
All right, folks. So we're going to go ahead. I told Senator Mullis that I'd present his bill because he's caught up in another committee, and it's a pretty easy bill. Thank goodness it's not complicated. So I think I can take care of that. Ellie, will you chime in his walk-up music? We're going to have an ad hoc, at least music for him.
I'm an Indian outlaw. After it being Choctaw, my baby, she's a Chippewa. She's a one of a kind. All my friends call me Bear Claw. Billy Chicken is my pawpaw. He gets his orders from my mama. She makes him.
All right. Well, there you go. So the Indian Outlaw is not here right now. But we're going to present his bill. It's just basically creating a joint Georgia Music Heritage Study Committee. It's a resolution. It's got some pretty important names from the Senate on it. And it's basically just to go through and see the economic impact and how the tourism sector can use Georgia music history for tourism, basically, at the end of the day. It's a joint study committee composed of 14 members. The House of Representatives shall appoint 8 members, and the Senate shall appoint 6. Obviously, the co-chairs of those meetings will call the meetings. And then they obviously will report back to us afterwards in December. We see study committees all the time. Obviously, that's up to the, will be up to the speaker's discretion, but I think it's important for us to figure out a way to utilize all the music history that we have in the state of Georgia to promote tourism. And with that, I don't know that I can answer a lot of questions on it, but I would look for a motion. We got a first? Second. Will of the committee? All in favor? Opposed? No, all right, it moves on. Congratulations, Senator Mullis. Right. I'm gonna switch seats with you. That's all right. And I'm gonna present a sub to Representative Calvin Smiley's House Bill 718 that he is familiar with. I'm gonna let Bonner run the meeting and I will slide to the right.
That's right. You have music. There we go. There we go.
Yeah.
Okay. If anyone still wants to sign up to speak to the bill, you can go ahead and do that real quick. Yeah, I'm right over here in this corner. Discretion of the chair.
I don't know if that's in the rules. That's urban legends.
Right. All right. Representative Carpenter, 21. All right.
All right, guys, thank you very much for, so what you're seeing right now in House Bill 718 has nothing to do with the original intent of the bill. We have stripped the language out of it and put language that I had that I was working on another bill, which was House Bill 998. And we just wanted to move it over here to this committee so we could feel like we wanted to play on home turf, if you will, and be able to have an opportunity to discuss a bill and cross-examine speakers, et cetera, so that we can really flesh out this issue, because I think it's an issue that affects a lot of Georgians, and it's a consumer protection bill. And I want to walk you through it real quick. So what's occurring currently in the ticket world, if you will, is 85% of tickets originally sold in entities to use to get their tickets to customers. But what we're seeing across the nation is a trend that Ticketmaster now sees the profitability in the secondary market, and they're trying to lock Georgia consumers into their ecosystem. And so in layman's term, basically, if I buy an original ticket that comes through Ticketmaster, I then would have to resell that ticket on Ticketmaster's app. And they're doing this through a process called a revolving barcode and a safe ticket system. And they're pledging that it's for the safety of the tickets, but actually it's to control consumers' data and to control the fees that are made in that secondary market. So a lot of you guys have heard of StubHub, of Vivid Seats, and other entities that operate in this field. And this bill would try to prevent Ticketmaster from locking those other platforms out of the industry, and thus creating a monopoly in the secondary ticket market, much like they have already in the primary ticket market. And so I'm going to walk you through what we've done. We've made a lot of changes to this bill over the time because there was a lot of discussion about artists wanting to sell tickets at a cheaper price to their fan clubs, to charitable groups. And when they do that, they want to make sure they don't try to sell those tickets at a big margin and make money on them, because they want them to actually come to the show. So we've addressed that issue so that they would be able to do that still and protect their fan base. And so if, as you see, it says basically it removes charitable organizations, religious institutions, civic leads, veterans, students, people with disability and economic hardship. All those people will be able to continue to buy tickets at a cheaper rate if the show determines that's an important group that they want to sell those to. All right. And then, so it also basically it comes in and it says a non-transferable ticket. So what's happening is you've got scenarios where Representative Belton buys a ticket and then they tell him it's non-transferable. All right. And so if David, something happens to Representative Belton and he can't go to that show, then he has no way to be able to transfer that ticket. And so what this bill does is it basically comes in and says tickets cannot be sold non-transferable unless they are sold to these groups above, or if that ticket is able to be purchased either in a transferable manner. So you basically would have a situation where a ticket would be able to be bought two ways, non-transferable or transferable. And that would eliminate Representative Belton's ability to not be able to transfer his tickets. And that's basically all this bill tries to do. As you go through the bill, also at the end, there is a piece about saying, if I sell you a ticket at the end that you get to the stadium, you're not refused entry because you didn't buy that ticket on Ticketmaster. I didn't transfer you that ticket through Ticketmaster. And that's what it's all about at the end of the day. We're trying to protect the ability to have a competitive market in the secondary ticket market so that Ticketmaster doesn't run StubHub, Vivid Seat, and all these other entities out of business. It's not about the Falcons. It's not about the Braves. All these entities, Major League Baseball and the NFL, require them to be able to let their consumers sell their tickets. This is more about what Live Nation's trying to do through the concerts and keeping individuals that buy tickets from being able to do what they want to with them. And it's a consumer protection bill, and I appreciate any questions.
All right, thank you. I'm going to open it up first to any of our colleagues online. Are there any representatives online that have any questions for the sponsor? All
I
right.
do. I had my hand ready.
Representative Moore, we can hear you. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, first of all, when I walk in, finally, I want my own theme music. Do you mind if I bring James Brown with me?
I'm completely okay with
Yes,
that.
ma'am.
All right, I got a great song. Secondly, about this bill, I understand about the secureness of selling tickets online, but I, like a lot of other people, feel that this would be infringing on our basic human rights. It almost bears on the brink of being discriminatory, who and what group of people that you sell them to. Tickets should be sold to anyone who wants to have a ticket and not just a group of tickets. I mean, I'm all for, and I'll fight to the death for every veteran and every disabled person. But I mean, it's kind of, I don't even know the word to say that this would be a group of people that you could only resell to. And then another thing is that I buy groups of tickets for underprivileged children, students in colleges, and I give them away every year under my company. I don't have a name on them, and I don't ever pick a group, whether they're disabled, whether they're Black or white or country, or whether they love James Brown or not. So I think that this bill is not conducive to the entertainment industry, period, and to the human race.
Representative Moore, I actually agree wholeheartedly with you. The piece about the groups early on was saying that venues could continue to sell tickets to those people at a cheaper, non-transferable rate. But I agree. This bill actually is standing up for your ability to be able to disseminate tickets however you please and to whoever you please.
Right.
That's actually what I'm trying to do. We've got companies, unfortunately, that are trying to control what you do with the stuff that you buy at the end of the day.
Well, if I buy a ticket And if I buy a group of tickets, and if I buy tickets today, and next week I buy 4 more tickets, and I add on more students or more seniors or whoever I buy a group of tickets for, I don't think that we should have to be blocked in who we give them to or who actually walks through the door.
I agree
So-
with that. That's absolutely, I agree 100%. That's what this bill is about. So I would appreciate your yes vote on this bill, because that's what I'm trying to do. That says if Representative Moore buys a ticket, she ought to do and give to whoever and however she wants to do that.
I buy tickets far before Christmas and I give them away. I have no idea who I'm going to give them to. If it's a great concert and I have a deserving student that would need one, I would want to be able to hand him a ticket, hands, down, unbarred. So, and it also really puts a ding on the entertainer. It's him or herself. So I just wanted to say that.
I appreciate you very much. Thank you
All
for your
right.
support.
Mhm.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Sains.
Thank you. And I'd just like to state on record how I championed Chairman Mullis's bill through the committee earlier and how it's already passed. And I mean, I'm not going to take credit for it or anything, but
The Indian outlaw must have been held up by cowboys on the way in here. We got you out, Chairman. So if you want to.
Mr. Chairman, thank you so much. I apologize. We're working on some house bills in another committee and I couldn't get out of there. Thank you for what you're doing. Okay.
No, we're good. We'll get you. I'll get the
Thank
form
so
to you.
much. And let me know what I can do in my little committee for y'all.
I'd say I'll have a hard time in your committee on a couple of issues.
in all seriousness to this bill, and I appreciate the authors bringing this to the attention. I admittedly go to much less concerts than I would like, but so I've tried to transfer this train of thought to buying plane tickets. When I buy a Delta ticket or any plane ticket, I look at, is it transferable? Because the nature of our work up here, it changes a lot. And if I want to buy a non-transferable ticket, Delta is able to sell it to me at an increased rate, that guaranteeing that they can control their product and how it's given into the free market. My concern would be if we went in and told an airline, all your tickets have to be transferable, it messes up with their product and we're telling them how to put their product in the market. I see that similar to this. We're telling the producer of the product in this state how they can put their product in the market. And I don't know the unintended consequences. I would like to learn more because I admittedly don't know the distinction between Ticketmaster and Ticket Seller or the others. So I get there may be a logic to this. I just don't see, I see the potential harm here if we're going to tell sports, our good sports teams and concert venues how they can put these tickets into market when folks can already decide if they get a transferable or non-transferable ticket.
So actually what this bill would do, I agree with you on the airline piece. And I actually use that as an example that says, this will not prevent you from selling tickets, much like the airline tickets, that if you're trying to sell a ticket at a reduced rate to a fan for $50, non-transferable, that's okay. As long as you offer the ability for that fan to pay $200 or whatever that fee is for that same ticket that is transferable. So it would create an airline model in the ticket industry that I think would be good for everybody. You would have, if you wanted to pay more for transferable rights like you do with an airline ticket, you would be able to do that under this bill.
With all due respect, we don't tell the airline industry what is a fan of theirs or not. We let the airline industry sell their tickets how they'd like. This does limit what the industry is allowed to use as a non-transferable ticket, correct?
This would allow someone to sell a ticket either as transferable or non-transferable. So it's basically comes down to, do you think a consumer should have the ability to buy a ticket that is transferable or not transferable? And I would argue that they should be able to.
All right. 17. Go ahead, Representative.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So it's kind of like the right to repair stuff that's going on. When I buy something, I feel like it's mine and I should be able to do something with it that I want to. Or is there a different, I look forward to hearing an opinion from the folks here talking about it. If there's a different opinion in what that ticket actually is when I buy it.
Yeah,
And
I
that may
think
be what's it questioning here.
Right. I think that's what what you're going to hear in a little bit when we hear speakers is they're going to say that you don't own that actual ticket. It's a revocable license to attend a show or a venue at that thing. And what I would argue is the consumer believes when he buys that ticket, it's his ticket. Now, whether he has he still has usage rights for that ticket. He has the right to attend the show and see it. So he has usage rights that are inherently embedded in him buying that ticket. And I'm saying the trend across the country is to limit a consumer's usage rights for that ticket. And I think that consumers should be able to do such.
Any other questions? All right, we'll open it up for public comment. We've got 4 folks that have signed up to speak to the bill. We have one online. All right, we have one online.
We'll get her at the end.
Okay. All right. So first, Earl Earhart. And if you could, just when you get to the microphone, restate your name, who you're representing, and then proceed. Oh, podium. There you go. You're good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. I represent my name's Earl Earhart. I represent the Atlanta.
Right.
And the Atlanta Braves are against us.
What's that?
All due respect, Mr. Chairman, this is your committee and I'm not.
Hang on one second. I thought you were turned on, but you're not there.
It's great now. How's that?
There you go.
You want me to start over?
Please.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name is Earl Earhart. I represent the Atlanta Braves Baseball Club. The Braves are against this measure. This is your committee, Mr. Chairman, and I'm not going to belabor it too much, but I want to address some of the issues. The idea that this is a consumer issue is a little bit out of the realm of possibility. The Braves, through Ticketmaster, sell their product at face value. If it's a $50 or $75 ticket, that's what you're buying it for. It's absolutely transferable. Again, this is a problem. I'm sorry, this is a solution in search of a problem that doesn't exist. I can transfer a Braves ticket right now on my phone all the way up to the end of the game to anybody I want to. There's no fee from Ticketmaster to do that. That's a software. And yes, 85% of that is controlled by the actual teams and the venues. They're the ones who are producing the product. That's what it is. The airline analogy is very apt. That's been a revocable license for a long time. This bill, if it passes, will tell the teams what they can do and the security of their own venue. An airline, you don't buy an airline ticket and then you can just toss it to anybody you want. The TSA might have something to say about that. The Braves have similar concerns. If somebody's committed a criminal act in their venue, they want to be able to revoke that license. That's been ticket law forever. Free market, you may hear some of that. How is it a free market when the StubHubs and the SeatGeeks of the world are asking this legislature, this government, to intervene in a private transaction between ticket holders, ticket venues, ballparks, ball clubs, and the people who are actually buying their tickets? And let's go back to that consumer. If I'm buying a $50 ticket to sit there in the dugout club and watch the Braves, that's $50. I use StubHub. I go to StubHub when I can't get that $50 ticket and I'm going to have to pay $500 for it. How is that a consumer deal? I've never read Consumer Reports and it shows highest price, best consumer rating. That doesn't have a lot of logic to it. Now I haven't seen this particular substitute because this is new today, but there is now a new exemption from the original bill that exempted the University of Georgia. And I'm as big a bulldog as anybody, and that's great. That's great, but that's not defensible. You're picking winners and losers. You're picking the national champions in football that are going to be exempt from this bill, but you're leaving out the World Championship Baseball Club and some of the other great sports franchises that happen to be Georgia companies. We're doing this for a bunch of companies from the Northeast, StubHub, SeatGeek. They're not here. They don't have tens of thousands of employees. They're not driving $1 billion worth of economic development. We're doing it for the out-of-town folks. So, ladies and gentlemen, with all due respect, I think you're going to hear from other representatives, other teams and other who did the venue, but we ask you to not pass this bill forward. Mr. Chairman, I'm certainly willing to answer any questions.
All right, we do, I believe Representative Sains, you were first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Well, you mentioned earlier in your testimony that if I were to buy a Braves ticket and, you know, a committee meeting ran late and I wanted to share, you know, give it to my friend Spencer Fry, maybe. I can do that right now with whatever ticket I buy.
Unless it's one of the very few that are today done, and I do appreciate, Mr. Representative, that you made it a change for veterans and school groups and church groups and those kind of things. Those are the very few tickets that do say non-transferable. It's less than a few percent with the Braves that do that. But any other ticket, yes, sir, you can transfer it at any time on your phone. And quite frankly, that's, if you want to sell it for more, it's not illegal to do that. You can do that. You don't have to use StubHub for it. You can charge Representative Fry a premium for that ticket if you want to, but that would be an individual transaction between yourselves. But Ticketmaster doesn't involve themselves in that, but they do let you transfer.
I appreciate the context of the nonprofit donation items and that the bill does
They did
address
make
that.
change.
So when it comes to because I appreciate that we do seem to have a very well-run baseball franchise in our state. What does this bill restrict the Braves from doing?
It restricts the Braves, as I said, from controlling a lot of the security aspects of their ticket. And that's one thing. It restricts, let's talk about guerrilla marketing campaigns. You get groups that maybe they don't want to come in and have to buy an actual sponsorship. They buy up a huge group of tickets and they start using that as a promotion. They use the Braves brand, they use the Braves mark. The Braves ought to be able to control that and say, no, you're guerrillaing off of our product. This allows them to do that. It allows, the federal government passed what was called a bot bill that supposedly was going to keep, and bots are those computer programs that can go in and buy a lot of tickets. And if you're a consumer, that makes it very difficult sometimes. If you're trying to push the button faster than a computer, you don't get the, it has a huge loophole in it. It basically goes after the companies that resell the tickets. It doesn't go after the actual bot companies. So you can go out and get the inventory, but so it's really not doing anything. So you've got a problem with that. You need to be able to restrict that kind of behavior, and it's a problem. But Ticketmaster is not the issue. Again, it's the venues and the teams and the parks and everything else that are important here. And that's who again, this is not a problem today. We're searching for a solution to something that's not there.
Representative Fry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you answered my questions, like, why are the Braves totally against this? I couldn't get my head around it. The security thing, I think it's different than an airline. But I'm trying to really drill down into the idea that why we have this bill in front of us is somebody's gotten stopped from selling tickets the way they wanted to. And that's the way, and legislation comes to this committee or to us in general. So how is it that this legislation is in front of us and this literally is not a problem? Is part of my question to you. It's like, when you say, yeah, I can transfer it, is it transferable? Can I buy a ticket to the Braves right now and immediately transfer it to StubHub back to Steve if I want to for any game in the future? I don't know.
I don't know the.
But this is what
inner
we're talking about
Sure.
as far as we also need to, there needs to be a balance. I totally understand everybody's issue with it, but we need to find a way that this can be solved. But I haven't heard exactly, I'm not really buying the security thing, but exactly why the sports teams are against this. Why does UGA want to carve out for this? Anybody? Yeah,
no.
tell me.
Well,
Yeah.
again, you got scalpers masquerading as season ticket holders. You can use their bots to get huge blocks of tickets that way, and then they can turn around and sell them. Venues have a vested interest in the fan experience. They want their fans to be there. They don't want to be a non-compensated tool for a third-party company. And it's your business. You want to be able to control that. That's just another reason. I mean, there's, go ahead.
Thank you, Earl. So, but this bill allows that.
Allows,
I mean, it allows for them to be compensated by being able to raise the price of a transferable ticket.
they can always raise their ticket price, but they're not in control at all about what priced StubHub or SeatGeek were to be able to.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. But the bill allows for a transferable ticket to be charged at a higher rate. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So there would be less incentive to resell that ticket by the people who are engaging the bots. So it does control the venue. It does allow the venue to reap some of that profit before the scalpers take it all, which is kind of what I'm
But
hearing.
they would have to raise their price across the board for all their ticket buyers.
And I can't respond to that fully. Mr. Chair, could you do that? Do you know that?
Chairman Carpenter?
Yeah, I'll follow up for you, Spencer. So no, this bill, they could charge whatever they want to. This does not, this bill does not affect what a venue does with their primary ticket sales.
Correct.
Basically, it says that it would allow them to sell tickets, 2 tiers tickets. They could sell a $50 ticket to a veterans group and charge $200 if they wanted to transfer that. And I think that's a valid point on this bill is it's not about, I went back and watched the video of the last committee meeting and it was all about, we want to figure out a way to share in the money. They're making money on our backs. And if we go through this, that's what really this going on. Ticketmaster controls 85% of the primary market and they want to control 85% of the secondary market. The Braves don't care about the tickets. They don't care about this issue. It's because if you follow the train, is it not correct, Mr. Earhart, that Liberty Media, which owns the Braves, owns 30% in Live Nation, which owns Ticketmaster. Is that a fair statement?
I'm not aware of what the percentages are of any of those ownerships, but I would take issue with the idea that the Braves don't care about the consumer. That I think the Braves have proven very clearly that they care about the consumer. And their ticket prices are significantly less than what you could find on StubHub or SeatGeek.
Or Ticketmaster, correct? Because Ticketmaster
Ticketmaster
is in the resale business as well, right?
Not for the Braves. The Ticketmaster is the software. When you go to your phone and go to the MLB app that mostly transfers all the tickets for all the teams in baseball all across the nation. Ticketmaster is the underpinning for that. You're using the Ticketmaster website effectively. Ticketmaster's not getting an extra fee for that to do it. You can transfer that ticket right now on your phone. That's
I would agree with that, but in the secondary market, Ticketmaster gets 30% of the resale, just like StubHub, just like Vivid Seats. And if you remove competition in that industry, in the long term, service for customers will go down and prices will go up. Unless, of course, everybody here would be interested in putting a cap on fees in the secondary market and cap it at $5 a ticket. But I have a feeling that the Braves wouldn't be for that. NFL wouldn't be for that. Live Nation wouldn't be for that because it is a cash grab and they're trying to monopolize this industry.
we have a difference. of opinion.
Chairman Chokus.
Mr. Chairman. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Is there anything that prevents these secondary market from going and buying blocks of tickets, 200 or 300 or 400 tickets at a time, and then selling them up at a higher rate if there's a sellout crowd? Is there any kind of limit or anything that prevents the secondary market from coming in and just buying huge blocks of tickets and then reselling them? Does anyone know the answer to that question?
Yeah, I can answer that question for you. So that's not the secondary market. Vivid Seats, StubHub, all those guys are marketplaces like an eBay. It is just a conduit for individuals to do that. So are there individuals on StubHub that do that? Absolutely. There's individuals that resell on Ticketmaster that do that exactly. And actually Ticketmaster has a platform that helps people, ticket brokers, sell on their platform, resell on their platform. So this bill doesn't really address that. The bot issue at the federal level addresses that issue, but this bill doesn't get in the middle of that. And this bill doesn't change how the Braves operate right now. If they want to continue to do business the way they're currently claiming to do business, this bill will not affect them.
Yeah, I'll respond to that, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah, if you would briefly, want to get
Just- I-
all the
I would just say the
speakers.
Braves respectfully have a difference of opinion on that. It changes the way they're allowed to do business in their own venue. Mr. Chairman, I'll be glad to stand up here. We get a lot of folks that want to talk.
Thank you, Earl. Let's move to the next speaker. Chandler Hayden.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. My name's Chandler Hayden, and I represent Live Nation, which does own Ticketmaster. And I will try to answer your questions as best I can. I have not seen the sub, but we do appreciate the chairman's passion on this issue. So Live Nation owns Ticketmaster, and Ticketmaster is an IT platform to distribute tickets. We are one of the primary market ticket sellers. There are also two others, SeatGeek and AXS. And all three of us contract with different artists or teams or, to get those tickets out. Ticketmaster also does have a resale platform. You are not required to sell a ticket that you buy from Ticketmaster on the Ticketmaster platform. You can resell that ticket on any other platform unless it is a non-transferable ticket. Now, a non-transferable ticket is, I'll give you an example. So Live Nation has artists that are going to come to their venue, and that artist is the one who determines what the price of the ticket is, and then how many tickets they want to hold back that cannot be transferred. And so usually it's, the first 20 rows or the first 30 rows that they want to save for, whether it's their fan club, it's, friends, whoever. So those are the tickets that are non-transferable. Not over 99% of our tickets are transferable. So I think that might be where Mr. Earhart was talking about how there's not some of us don't see a problem. Obviously, the secondary platform representatives may see a problem. Let me see if I can, and I'm happy to answer any questions about this.
Are there any questions from Ms. Hayden? Anybody online? All right. Thank you very much. Next is Dan Barkerville.
He wants to sub that.
Okay. Okay, we're making a note though.
So I'm Sam Olens. We represent the Falcons. The Falcons have no limitations on the transferability. This bill's all about resale. This bill's all about high price, out of state, modern day scalpers. There are no restrictions. Now, there are some concert restrictions. The other day, as the sponsor knows, I got an email about 10 minutes before the hearing that reminded me that I was a member of the Elton John fan club. And I admit I like Elton John, and I've gone to numerous Elton John concerts. And as part of being a member of the Elton John fan club, I get to buy tickets in advance. Not with this bill. Does he still come to Atlanta? I don't know. As you know, the Falcons are working hard with the United to bring World Cup World Cup makes anything else look puny. It makes the Super Bowl look much, much smaller. Does this bill end that discussion? It may. So what we're looking at here is a bill that, and I apologize, I haven't been given a copy of the amendment either. But as I imagine, the amendment in front of you has an exception with regard to one of our very much liked college football teams. So if the bill is necessary for the consumer, why isn't it necessary for fans of that college football team? So in essence, what's happened in a last minute substitution is we need the bill, but not for the team we like. So we're choosing who wins and who loses. I would suggest to you, if it's good enough for Georgia, it's good enough for the Falcons. And I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. We do have one question. Saints.
Thank you. I want to follow up to a prior dialogue, and because you said it more specifically in terms of this bill in your point of view is about limiting resale. Why would the Falcons or a team like Atlanta United be concerned? You've made your profit on a ticket if it's going to the resale market. Why would you be concerned about limiting or modifying the resale market?
So the Falcons don't. But there's other talent, such as many artists that do. And this bill may stop them from ever coming in our state again. The Falcons themselves don't. And the other issue, if I may, is that exception that was added to this bill is really good for lawyers like me. You know, when Roy Barnes was in the legislature before he was governor, he had a talent in working with bills that then made it easy to go to Fulton Superior Court and find them unconstitutional. That exception in this bill is a gift for lawyers. Because once again, you're choosing winners and losers, and that's not the way the law works in this country.
Just a small follow-up. While I appreciate that Falcons might not, but I guess y'all's venue gets used for other teams. Is that why the Falcons cares about this, or does this bill pose an endangerment to hold?
Well, it may very well pose a situation with the World Cup. I mean, it absolutely could adversely affect the application for the World Cup, separate and effect in the concert. I mean, this is trying to solve a problem that doesn't exist. But to the extent it exists, let's protect UGA, but not other people. Thank you, sir.
Chairman Carpenter.
Yeah, so just to clarify, I know you don't have a copy of the current sub, but it's actually all public institutions. It's not Tech, it's Georgia. I mean, it's not
Understood.
Georgia, it's Georgia Tech, Georgia State, Valdosta State, Georgia Southern, all public institutions. I would ask you a question. Do you think that since this bill would teeter whether the World Cup would come to North America or not, do you think including Denver and New York, which Colorado and New York have non-transferable bills and transferable ticket bills now currently in law and have for quite some time, you think having those two sites on the application, maybe they should take those off as well for the World Cup, or if it's going to endanger the World Cup coming to North America?
So I'll give you two answers for your comments, Chairman. And I appreciate your passion too. I mean, this isn't a personal issue. This is business.
Sure, absolutely.
Number one, when this bill was in the Senate earlier this week, the Senate sponsor overtly stated on public record, the exception was added at the request of UGA. I'm just going by what's in public record. With regard to other jurisdictions, candidly, I'm here on behalf of the Falcons and they're in Atlanta. So my issue is what happens in our state.
Sure, and that's fair. And I can't control what the senator did or didn't do with his bill. But I would say, if you're presenting this committee with the argument that this bill would keep the World Cup from coming to America when 2 sites on that list already have this law in their state. I think that's probably a tough stretch of an argument.
So to be clear, I didn't say it would stop. I said it has an opportunity to stop. So I'm specifically using my words, just like I'm not saying Elton John will never appear in this state again either. I'm just simply saying there are artists like him that would not be happy with this type of language.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. Next is Tony West.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Tony West, Americans for Prosperity. Members of this committee may have seen an email from me expressing opposition to the original 718 as introduced. We do not take a position on this new substitute. Just wanted to clarify that for you all. Thank you.
Tony, one moment. There's one question for you.
Yes.
Representative Sains.
What changed in the modification to this bill that modified the position of Americans for Prosperity?
The original 718 had to do with a completely different topic. Sorry about that.
Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
Sure.
All right. That's the list of speakers here in the chamber. Laura Dooley, you had signed up online. If you're ready, then you can go right ahead.
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity to participate virtually today. I apologize not to be there in person. I had a prior commitment out of state. My name is Laura Dooley. I'm the head of government relations for